So how many initiatives within your institutions can be approached without, you know, a dearth of explanation? If you don't have that, then, you know, again, maybe it's something to consider. Trustworthy. It's better to be forgotten than to not be believed. Wow. Yeah, that's kind of what I said. And you know, what he told me is when a person leaves an institution, leaves a company, you know, has a bad experience with a product, and you've trumped it up to be the best, that person will hold on to that memory, that negative association, for a very long time. There's no statute of limitations on the amount of time somebody can really be pissed off. Right? So it would be better for someone to say, you know what, I actually forgot what an amazing institution Fisk University is, than to have the brand that represents Fisk not be believable. Personable. Telling stories trumps delivering information every time. Okay? So as we talk about this technology and look at these platforms, ultimately remember that we're doing what we have done, what our ancestors taught us to do. Tell stories. Right? So now we're going to approach how does all of that information get packaged into what we can learn, HBCUs, to capture students' revenue and alumni support. Well, I've broken this down to seven things. First one is we're going to look at redefining the target market. We're going to rethink the concept of cost and customers. Well, we're actually going to do a little bit different. We're going to look at the target market. We're going to look at cost and students. We'll look at reassessing the value proposition. Why abundance and not scarcity are the new drivers in this knowledge economy that we're in. A comparison of push versus pull modeling when you're considering designing online instruction experiences. The lessons that we can learn from social platforms, how it allows aggregation and interaction as we use these tools to build tomorrow's new learning communities. 5, this is actually my favorite, how disintermediation will affect higher education. The impact of iTunes and Google News on the institution. 6 is going to be a brief look at eBay and how it functions as this platform to both facilitate and validate transactions. And can that be a blueprint for a theoretical UNCF? Okay, it's not a thing, it's a system, it's a network. And if you approach it the right way, well, like I said, 11 years from now, you'll be doing this in Cancun. 7, you're not competitors, you're collaborators. All of you are equally called upon to jointly approach this task. You know, I come out of the media sector, television primarily, and internet. And when I make a presentation to executives from Fox, NBC, Sony, the worst thing that can go wrong if we completely drop the ball, if we fail, is that a commercial won't air. Election results will be delayed 5 minutes. There'll be a wardrobe malfunction during the Super Bowl. All these things we can account for. We'll break to a commercial. And certainly there's a bigger impact. You know, people get fired and stock prices go down. But I am absolutely humbled by the endeavor that all of you have before you. Because when I think about all the people in this room, what you do, what your mission is, and what could possibly go wrong, what's the worst thing that could happen? We could default on our future. That's stunning to me. Our future is at stake. So I'm going to dare us to ask big questions, big out-of-the-box questions. Redefining, section 1, redefining the target market, rethinking cost of the customer. So, let's take a quick look at market. Nowadays, if you open up any periodical, go on any website, open up Black Enterprise, at some point you'll come across a statistic called the Black or African American GDP. That's our gross domestic product. And depending on who you talk to, it's estimated to be anywhere between $850 billion and $1 trillion a year. Now, I have looked at that statistic since my undergraduate days. I've always shaken my head because I know that that's a very misleading statistic, even though it's used by everyone of authority. It's very misleading because we actually want to reconsider what the market is. What are the total amount of inputs that can go into the system that we can draw upon to produce our desired output? So the input, looking at the input, what do we spend and how does it impact the decisions that we're going to make? Well, GDP, by the government's definition, is a measure of all finished, which is new, goods and services made within a given year. The operative term here is new. Because what that tells us is it does not count, does not recognize the purchase of, and this is just a couple of examples, used automobiles, leased vehicle expenditures after the first model year of pre-existing homes. So let's just say tomorrow, the person in the purple jacket, she goes out tomorrow and she buys, or she leases a brand new Cadillac this year, 2009. She makes one payment in December, and then all of the payments that she makes in 2010 are not counted. While she does that, she decides that she's going to be nice to her significant other and buy him a 2007. What's he going to get? A Jag. He's going to get a Jag. And it's 2007, and you know, she goes out, she spends $40,000 on that, and that represents buying power. But that's not counted. And then Christmas Day, they close on their new home. Well, it was actually built in 2005, and it's $600,000. And so that represents real buying power, and that's not counted either. So when we look at Black GDP, this figure, it's kind of shocking to consider what's not being counted. Now, let's look at another figure. I was not able to find, and I know how busy Sylvia was, so I didn't want to bother her and ask her for the figure. So I was able to come up with the combined endowment of all 105, and then somebody actually told me maybe 103.
Well, it's 105 to June.
Okay, so times of the essence.
Accreditation, right.
We got to get through this. We got to get through this presentation quicker. Combined endowment of all HBCUs in this country is roughly $1.6 billion. That's stark. So I was thinking, well, $1.6 billion out of $1 trillion.